We have so many profound, what we call miracles, happening in our lives at the Creator Share Foundation, which is now the parent of what many of you know to be Share Tanzania. And among that family, we have so many miracles. It's truly phenomenal. And so we decided we would make a series about those miracles, because often they are happening every week. Just profound, inexplicable synchronicities, healing of children, the right people appearing at the right time, things manifesting in a way that just are mathematically impossible unless there is some divine support moving throughout the story of these manifestations. And so, to give credit to that unseen force of love that is knitting together all that we do, we decided to do a series on the miracles that we are going through. The miracles of Share Tanzania, the miracles of the Creator Share Foundation. I decided I would kick off this series right at the beginning. I figure it's the best place to start, because from the very outset, the whole journey was miraculous. The very outset, the manifestation of this was peppered with a divine will that made no sense to rationality. When this all began, I couldn't hear spirit as I do now. These days I hear spirit very profoundly internally. I know I don't need many external signs for God's will to be revealed to me. But that came from many years of learning, of rooting myself in that space of consciousness, of rooting myself in the space where there is a stillness, where the will and the presence of God can speak, rather than the will of my ego, of my birth certificate identity, which most of us have relied upon. But back then, I still had a propensity to listen to myself and not to God. And so God used to use external signs, and many have these signs of these numerical synchronicities. And so 1111 was a number that kept showing up in my life. And it was on the 11th of November 2011 I decided to do my first water fast, and I chose to do it for 11 days. Halfway through, I see some children on YouTube suffering immensely, and I apply in tears to volunteer and help this organization. I apply to the wrong organization with the same name. It's not the organization in the video I mean by that, but an organization in Tanzania, carrying the same name. On the 11th day of my water fast, at 11:11 a.m, that organization replied to me and said, "Come to Tanzania." So I went there. I told my family I was moving there, and naturally they thought I was crazy, because I was doing something completely out of the paradigm of rationality. I was doing something based upon what I figured was the will of God. I was very certain that this was the voice of God manifesting in a non-audible manner. So I went there, no idea why, but with a notion that I was supposed to help children because of why this had manifest. When I got there, there was an NGO that had totally collapsed. It was corrupt, the people in charge were stealing money. It was a very difficult time. Within 6 months, they were gone. And so within 6 months of arriving in this country, having followed a number to get there, I was left with the structure of this NGO. The board of trustees became my friends that remained, and it came with 1 acre of land and 1 small house. That acre of land became the dog rescue at first, and in time that small house became a children's home. That children's home became a children's village. The very way by which this happened was miraculous. From the absolute outset, I didn't plan this. I had not planned this. Not at all. But God had a plan. And so the notion that there is a character with its own intelligence that should have been making a plan kind of didn't fit in with the story. God had a plan. God has the intelligence. God knows what's going on. This human organism, it was needed for that plan to manifest. This human organism partaking in that plan was actually reliant on its own understanding, not interfering. And still to this day, if what is the understanding of a self-image, of my own will, of that birth certificate identity that we all cling to as if that's who we are, if that tries to make its own decisions, often it doesn't go well. And so still to this day, the organism speaking to you must recognize that these miracles happen, that these profound manifestations happen, that all of this goodness and love has been manifest in the world happens when those I work with and this human talking to you choose their identity to be present in the will of God, which is an identity here and now that listens for that will, not to its own. And that space it's timeless. And it's the birthplace of God's power in this world. We just have to make sure that our own will doesn't get in the way. Our own faithlessness and doubts doesn't get in the way. And so this was the first miracle I wanted to share with you all. What else can I call it? Imagine you are this human talking to you. Imagine you're me. And you follow this number believing it's God's voice. And you arrive to that, and that manifests to where we are. What other word can I point at it with? In God we trust. God bless, guys. I love you all. Bye. I want to take just a few moments of your time to share with you an exciting project that we have going with the charity for the rest of the year. Before I go any further with that, I want to show you why we are doing this project and who we are helping with it. This child's name is Jane, and we found Jane just 1 kilometre away from where we are building our new children's village, which is a 9-hour drive from our existing one. That area has nobody educating, caring for, or trying to assist children with special needs. Jane's mum has to go to work, and so the only option she felt she had to keep her daughter safe was to peg her to the floor, as you see here. This, of course, is not a way of life for anyone, and Jane has lived that way the whole of her life. What we are trying to do is make sure that we can build a solution that's functional for children like Jane. To do that, we need to raise $200,000 by the end of the year. And to do that, we are hoping to get 2,000 volunteers who will agree to fundraise $25 a month, or if you are blessed enough to be able to share that without fundraising, of course, that's an option, every month for the rest of the year. If 2,000 people can commit to doing this, I know, because I have a working blueprint of the village that we currently have, that I can build a working solution that will be able to provide a loving home for 150 special needs children in that location. I also can say that every dollar will go towards construction. Every dollar. And this is a promise that I know I can make, because after 10 years, I think I'm probably better seated than most human beings to fix this problem. If you want to know more about the project, feel free to reach out, or you can visit the link at the bottom of the screen, www.sharetanzania.com/2000strong. There you'll find out all the information you need. Thank you for the love and support. We can't do what we do for these children without you. God bless, guys. Bye.